Welcome back to Common Sense Rhode Island. I'm Representative Patricia Morgan, and we have with us today retired Lieutenant General Reggie Centracchio. We've been talking about terrorism, which isn't a laughing matter at all. There's been just a lot of devastation, and it's scary. And I'm sure that there are individuals out there in Rhode Island who are wondering how to keep themselves safe. You know, it's not just here in Rhode Island. They go to events. They might go to the Boston Marathon. They might go to a football game. They might travel and go to a nightclub somewhere. So I'd like you to spend a couple of minutes now just telling people what they can do, right, proactively, to keep them safe, to keep their families safe.
Okay. It's referred to as a golden rule and protecting not only yourself but other people too. And that is called, if you see something, report it. If you see something out of the ordinary, report it. Don't take action by yourself. That can be very costly. It could cost you your life. You always report it to local authorities, to someone that you can understand has the ways and means to be able to confront with what you're bringing to them. So if you see something out of the ordinary, report it. And I can't say that too many times. That is the golden rule to protect yourself and other people from harm.
Okay.
Secondly, if you see something...
And what if you're wrong? What if you say, oh, that person has a box and he's acting strangely, and it turns out he just acts strange anyway, and there's nothing in the box?
This country, unfortunately, is suffering a case of political correctness, in my opinion. I think eventually, if there is ever a demise of the country, and I say that very cautiously, political correctness is one of the ingredients that will eventually create an environment that we don't want to be part of. You have to say something, even though you may be wrong.
So don't worry about it. Say it.
If you're wrong, you apologize. If you're going to offend somebody, okay, you offend them. But at least you've done something. It could have been the other way too.
Okay.
So you say, look, if I offended you, I'm sorry, but I thought that was significant for me to bring to your attention.
Sure.
Right. So besides offending you, it's scaring me. And so I'm going to report it. And that's exactly what you do. I think the next thing we need to do is to understand yourself and understand your family. You know, we're different today than we were back when I grew up. In the 50s, we sat at the table, we had dinner, and we talked to each other. And you didn't get up from the table until the meal was done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you talked about what you did.
I had one of those dads, too.
Yeah. And so, we won't get into that right now.
I gotta eat every bit of that Brussels sprouts.
Right. But at the same time, I think, unfortunately, a good part of this society doesn't have the family unit that we had back in the 50s and 60s. So consequently, you have to look to other ways and means to achieve the same thing. You have to make sure that these kids today are not radicalized, because there's a way for them to be able to express what they need and what they feel with the family first. And the parents, regardless of whether they're one or two parents, they're a mother or father, just a mother, single parent, they have to be well aware to see any particular change that might be going on with their children.
So talk to your kids, interact with them all the time. So you could spot if they're acting strangely.
Yeah, if they're acting, I mean, teenagers do this anyway. But when you see something beyond the teenager, you need to say, okay, look, what's bothering you? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And most likely they'll say nothing, and they'll keep it. But if you stay with them and you let them know you're really interested and you do care what they're possibly getting into, this could also apply not only to radicalization, it could apply to drugs, alcohol, and other things that are very dangerous, obviously. So you need to understand, pay attention to the kids, and when you see them doing something, for instance, you talked about...
What would be some signs what would be the signs that your child is becoming radicalized?
Withdrawal. Something that would maybe be something similar to anxiety, reverse anxiety, depression, and they're just not the same person that they were last week, and they look differently. You know, today it's very hard to tell who's a normal kid or not. I mean, they're wearing their hats backwards, their pants are down below where they should be.
I know.
So, you know, it's hard.
You're dating
but
yourself
kids.
with those
I know.
remarks.
But at the same time, it's important to understand that there are a lot of good kids out there.
Yeah.
But one or two are acting strangely, that the parents have to be aware that's the time to intercede and talk to them. And if it's beyond that, you need to get them help, because the radicalization It can be done when you least
Well, like
accept
you
it.
said, they're on their computer. You think they're
Right.
doing their homework,
Yeah.
and instead they're reading these
Right.
pages of
Yeah, you need to
hate.
get in there and check and find out what they're looking at, and if they're under 18, take it away from them. I mean, you have to have discipline, you have to have a set
I
of rules.
say if you're
now.
paying the electric bill, you take it away from them, but you say under the age of 18.
Yeah.
right?
But, there has to be a system, they just can't do all they want to do, because that's exactly what gets them in trouble. They're good kids, but they're looking for something to belong to,
Sure.
something beyond what they can put their hands on. And if it
And when you
seems to be...
say get them help, where would parents go?
You go to the local school, they have social help within the schools. You
Okay,
make sure
so the
that,
schools would know how to react to
Yeah,
it.
they're trained people to do that. And if you don't know that, then talk to your local police. They may
Just with
have-
your fears.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Just
you're
look-
not going to get your child in trouble by
No,
saying,
no.
I think something might be going wrong here, right?
Now, if
Okay.
you see your kid taking an extraordinary interest in a particular thing, such as a lot of paraphernalia around the AR-15 or a particular weapon, I mean, kids become involved in that. But if it goes beyond that, and you can see that they're really going beyond just an interest, you need to intervene in it and do something about it.
Get them straightened out before it
Exactly,
gets
yeah.
to a point where
Talk to
they
them,
hurt somebody.
yeah.
Sure.
Now, the other side of that is there has to be a system to put the values back into the family. Value systems seem to have gone by the way because they've been replaced by social media. It's been replaced by TV. It's been replaced by, all kinds of things that have taken away the ability for a family to have a set of values
Sure.
that you constantly go back and recharge yourself with.
I'll be honest with you, I mean, I know every parent out there has gone through what I went through. It was the kids were going to soccer or baseball, and they'd come home from school, and it was throw them a hot dog, get in the car, and you drive them to a ball game, and there wasn't a whole lot of time. When I grew up, we had dinner every night, right? It was just a set routine. You had dinner, it lasted until every Brussels sprout was eaten, and then you could get up and go. There was the Sunday drives and all those kinds of things. Those are gone.
Yeah.
And seriously, I remember doing it, just getting the kids to the next event.
Yeah.
And you're not having that leisure to really understand what's going on in your kids' lives.
Well, I can tell you what I do as a grandfather now. When my grandchildren come to the house, the first thing you do is turn that that whatever you got in your hand, put it over there and we're gonna talk. And we
Yeah.
do. And then eventually I'll, let them do whatever they wanna do.
Yeah.
But initially they need to understand that they're there to have a visit and talk. And if they wanna talk to me using the IT, then stay home and talk to me. But that's not.
You can
what-
text me from home.
Yeah, right. So, but you're in this house, we need to talk and look each other in the eye. So I think that's important. At the same time, there's a reverse to this. The kids who are being brought up, and we have a lot of law enforcement attacks lately, kids have to be instructed and given the value, you have to have respect. Respect is seemingly left our society for whatever it is. So parents and anybody else has the opportunity, you have to get respect on the equation too.
Oh, God, yes, right. I mean, that wasn't something I wanted to go into, but respect, family, they are things that are crumbling in the United States, and we really have to start shoring up that foundation, because
Yeah.
that's one of the things that makes America great.
That's the secret and solution to radicalization.
And that's the final word.
You got
Thank
it.
you for coming, and thank you for listening.